Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports entertainment talk show about the New York Giants, the New York Mets, movies, TV, comedy, and a whole lot more. It's hosted by Giant Mess, that's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I'm an Irish-Italian-American who graduated from a Catholic high school but isn't Catholic. And then I went on to earn a couple of overpriced degrees from a college known for producing doctors and lacrosse players, and then I became neither. Instead, I like to tell stories, and they're usually cringy. You can leave a voicemail at 862-248-1986. That's 862-248-1986. You can subscribe to Giant Mess on YouTube. You can follow me on my official blog, neallynch.com. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Twitter and Instagram, I'm Real Cinch, RealCinch. And then you can also subscribe to Giant Mess on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever weird podcast service you're into. I'm probably on it. On this episode, we're going to be talking about my visits to Block Island, Rhode Island, to see my friend's new home, which is definitely indication that I'm way behind the curve in terms of my life. We'll talk about a little bit about the Winter Olympics, the Super Bowl, the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Talk about the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. A little bit about March Madness and my history with college basketball betting. How I got fired from my job at SNY. I learned about alopecia and how it's different from aphasia. I relived part of my youth growing up watching the erotic thriller Deep Water with Ben Affleck and Armas. And I skipped out on Morbius, but I'm still got hope for Sinister Six. Russell Wilson went to the Broncos in NFL free agency, and that's just a little bit of what you can expect from the first half of 2022, the first quarter of 2022. I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you don't, let me know. Feedback is always welcome. It hurts. Trust me, it hurts, but it's always welcome. So with that, let's get it on. Ooh, let's get it on. See you on the flip. Hey, what's up, everybody? How are we doing? I know it's been a while. The last time I recorded was actually January 24th, 2022. It was a year after my wife told me she wanted a divorce. And since then, lots happened. It's been 6 months. So how's my 2022 so far? I thought I would do a We Didn't Start the Fire type recap to catch you up on all things that are happening in my life. The new year, new me. Sort of, maybe, not really. Went to Block Island a couple times. Block Island, Rhode Island. Two of my friends bought a house there. It's an insane house. I can't even begin to describe how awesome this house is. They don't live there year round, which is interesting. They have an amazing apartment in Hoboken. Just a phenomenal place. I call it the museum. Because you walk in there and it's like you've walked into a museum. Like there should be exhibits. Here's the West Wing. Here's where the dinosaurs are. Mona Lisa's over there. It's a full-on museum. I should pay admission every time I enter that frickin' apartment. Because it's essentially two apartments in one. I think I've talked about this before, but I cannot, it's unreal how nice that apartment is. And it feels like a 5-star hotel every time I stay over there. I'm back visiting them a lot more now that I'm divorced. You know, that's been an interesting experience since I moved to Princeton in November of 21. It's my sad dad pad, 2 bedrooms. And half the time I have my daughter, half the time I don't. So half the time I'm a responsible civilian, father, guardian of the galaxy. And the other half of the time I'm a degenerate, just a complete, like, it's like I've completely regressed back to my high school days and my college days. I know my ex-wife has completely regressed back to her college days. Don't want to get completely into that right now, because I don't want any breach of contract or any kind of lawsuit coming my way. But I will say she has regressed back to her college days. Her nose ring is back in, which is interesting. You know, I remember I dropped Brie off at her place and she opened the door and there's a little nose piercing. The stud is back in your nostril, which was never in your nostril when we were together. In the 8 years we were together, 8-9 years we were together, wasn't in at all. Now it's back in. now that we're not together? Okay, great. Also found out that she's dating her former boyfriend from college. So it's let's do the time warp again. Yeah, time travel's fun. I do it every other weekend when I don't have Brie. I time travel. But I'm regressing to my college and high school days too. Like, it's just like, oh, there's no one else in this apartment. I don't give a fuck. Like, let's just get weird. Let's get nasty. Let's get gnarly. So it's definitely like slovenly type stuff going on in this apartment when Bria is not here. When she is here, it's like, well, you got to make green choices if you want to sleep in daddy's bed, which that's a whole other thing that it's, you say that in the wrong company and they take it the wrong way. And this culture of like when, I don't know if it's Gen Z or millennials or whatever, but just like young women calling, like they get horny about daddies. And I don't even know, what's a zaddy for real? What the hell is a zaddy? I don't get it. And daddies, like a daddy, that makes young women horny. There's something weird about that. Now that I am a father, I can't, that creeps me out. I can't. And, I think like in your 40s, like I'm now almost 42. Holy shit. I feel like, there's this stereotype or cliche about middle-aged men where it's like I just said, regressing back to college and dating someone who's college age, just trying to like recapture your youth because you're dying at a very advanced rate. But yeah, young women getting horned up and calling dudes that they thirst for daddies is just, it really creeps. It just makes my skin crawl. I can't get over it. Just call it like, can we think of another? No. And I know I'm old man shouting at the clouds right now. I don't give a shit. We got to figure out, like, there's some Freudian type psychology to that. Like am I now, I get in my own head about this and I think like, okay, if that's like, how does a young woman get to that point where she's horned up and raring to go and she calls a guy dad? Like if a woman that I was hooking up with called me daddy, I'd immediately turtle. 100%. I'd turtle. Cause no, like now I got in my head that you're my daughter and like I'm hooking up with my daughter and like, what is this Oedipus type complex type incestual, everything on Pornhub too, man. Just like, what is with this incest? Can we stop, please? I don't know how we got that quickly to incest, but that's pretty much divorce life. Sad dad life is just like that TV show on NBC. And I forget what the name of it is. It's not Awake, but it was like, I can't remember the actor's name. It was probably 10 years ago now that it came out. But basically the guy, every time he falls asleep and wakes up, he's in one of two scenarios. So he goes to sleep and wakes up and his wife is dead, but his son is alive, or he goes to sleep and wakes up and his son is dead and his wife is alive. And there's like it's almost like two parallel universes or timelines or whatever. That's like what my life is right now, pretty much. Like, there's a timeline where you never got married, never had kids. And you're just like, you just got fat and old and bald. Yeah, you don't have any interest in women. And then there's another timeline where you do have a daughter and you need to take care of her and be responsible and feed her. If you want to have an ice pop for dessert, you're going to have to eat your chicken nuggets. Okay. That's just, those are the rules. And I never like, and that was my biggest fear going into parenthood was like, I don't think I'm going to be a disciplinarian. And turns out like I have to be the bad cop in this relationship. Like I am the disciplinarian because my ex-wife thinks that Brielle, who's 3 going on 4, going to be 4 soon, is her best friend. She's 3. She doesn't even know what the hell's going on. That's pretty much how that's going. Being a disciplinarian. Never thought I would take to it, but it's like I'm pretty good. I always thought I could not say no. I was always a yes man in terms of like people wanting me to do things and get things done, where it was like just peer pressure me. It's fine. That's what my daughter has not figured out yet is you just got to keep at it with me. Like she hasn't tried 3 times yet. It's like saying Beetlejuice 3 times. Like if you just say what you said the first time 2 more times, I'm probably going to cave in and say yes, but she hasn't figured that out yet. By the time she sees this, it's be too late, hopefully. But yeah, I'm getting good at saying no. And every time I pick her up from school after I haven't had her for a long time, usually because we have the 2-2-3 whatever schedule, it's like, oh, mommy got me this, mommy got me that, mommy got me this, mommy got me that, mommy got me this, mommy got me that. And it's like, cool. Shower her with gifts. And like going back to the love languages that we talked about. Oh, like I thought gifts weren't your thing, lady. That it was acts of service. Remember? We talked about it. Anyway, that's not what the podcast is going to be. It's not going to be me being bitter. I'll tell you that much. It's not. I've learned a lot over the past, since I know I put out the pod recently where it basically did the timeline of everything that happened. But like, I didn't get into a lot of the nitty gritty, and I won't get into the nitty gritty here, but I will say that you learn a lot about a person during these proceedings. During that process, you learn a lot. Oh boy. Just like, oh, that's what matters. Okay, cool. Good to know. Putting that, file that away. But yeah, so January was that whole Omicron thing that I was talking about in the most recent pod, where it was, I really hit a low point. It was, and January is not a good month for me anyway, especially when the Giants aren't in the playoffs. It's just like, there's nothing. I'm just spiraling into nothingness. There's a reason why there's a Monday in January they call like Blues Monday, or the not Black Monday. Oh my God. Where it's just the most depressing day of the year. And it's like, I get it, man. I've got seasonal affective disorder, I think. Affective disorder, whatever. But it was nice to go out to Block Island. Even in January, it's more interesting, and it's interesting in January because you get there and it's just like there's no one there because it's a summer destination, and so everything, it's like a ghost town, or it's almost like a bomb went off or something. You feel like you're in a post-apocalyptic world, and it's just like, let's just knock a few back. Let's just knock a bunch back. Let's do it. Yeah. So I mean, that was just good old fashioned fun. There was a lot of good home cooking. I mean, the amount of charcuterie I ate is illegal, I think. Playing wiffle ball and throwing the football around in snow their backyard is just ginorm, my man. It is humongous. It's a football field. It's on a slope, but it's pretty much a football field. A little golf chipping. Why not? Get that in the mix. I mean, you can do everything. I mean, you could do like the QB challenge from back in the day, when they had Warren Moon, Dan Marino, Favre, everyone just kind of come out and hit targets and heave it. That's what you could do in this backyard. I always told them like they should have weddings. Just host I'm not going to say how much they paid for it, but I mean, you do the math. It's friggin' an island. If they host one wedding a summer, or even two weddings, if you host a wedding, if you hosted a wedding per summer month, like one in May, one in June, one in July, one in August, you'd pay off the house in like 5 years for sure. But who am I to give advice on anything? I mean, look at where I am right now. If you're you can't see I don't know if I'm going to post this video, but these curtains. I'd get into a whole goddamn shebang. It's tough because I try to teach Bree, my daughter, about when she gets angry to breathe. And even my nephew and niece too. I say, whenever they get hyped up and angry and steamed, I'm like, breathe. Just breathe with me. And it's amazing how a lot of the time the kids can't. They don't know how to breathe. They can't do the deep breath in and out. They just can't do it. It's kind of funny and I try not to laugh. It's hard. I don't know. I know I'm a sick individual, but it's hard for me not to laugh at some of the shit that kids get upset about, but also the way that they react to certain things. I can't contain the laughter. It's just like, that and Bree, the one weekend I had her was sounding an awful a lot like Cassie towards the end there of our marriage. And I was just like, oh, please don't become that. No. Like at one point she said, I told you 100 times. And I'm like, what? Not you. Not you. No. So But yeah, she's probably going to turn out like Cassie. And that's not such a bad thing, I guess. I enjoy going to, I mean, I used to live in Manasquan, a shore town, Jersey Shore town, during the winter when it was like a ghost town. And that's almost like, it's kind of cool. You know, there's far less people. You know, you're not waiting in a friggin' line around the block to get into a bar. And those are the hardcores, mostly locals. And they're a little more jovial and open because it's like they don't have to deal with all the shitheads that come in and terrorize the land. I'm down for that. As far as February goes, February was the Winter Olympics were trending, and I that might have been the first Winter Olympics where I didn't watch a goddamn thing. I really don't think I did. Was it in Russia? I don't know where it was. No, it was in Japan. No, not Japan. Tokyo? Korea. I have no idea where the Winter Olympics was. I just didn't watch it at all. I don't know what it was. I just had no interest whatsoever. Super Bowl happened. Bengals, Rams pull it out. I was pulling for the Bengals big time because I freaking hate the Rams. OBJ, of course, is kind of bittersweet. It's like it was good to see him pop off, and then his ACL popped, and now there's all this talk about the Giants like bringing him back, and I'm just like, okay, so he's now torn his ACL twice, or like I don't know if it's the same one or different ones, but like either way, you tear your ACL, 2 ACL tears, that's pretty brutal. Like you're not going to be as explosive, as quick. I mean, I just think about Victor Cruz, what he went through after his injury. I think about Steve Smith. I think about Hakeem Nicks. Like every Giants wide receiver that's had a pretty serious injury, they're just not even close to where they were before that injury. So like it's like, hey, we'll overpay you to come back and then not put up any numbers. But it'd be kind of cool if he, you know, it's like the David Wright situation. Like if he gets a Super Bowl ring with the Giants, even though he's not a producer, I always thought that the Mets would do that if they got into a World Series position, which they might be in the position this year. It'd be interesting to see, like, what if could they sign Wright to just take up a bench spot? Is that even worth it if they feel confident about winning the World Series? No, you idiot, stupid idiot. Russia, Ukraine, that was a huge thing. Huge thing. It's a war, Neil. You dumb. Yeah, I remember like I was in Black Island when there was first announced, and it was like that was when the Queen was sick. I don't know. It was some news about the Queen, and it was like wall-to-wall coverage about the frickin' Queen. Who cares about the Queen? Who? I know who. My cousin Kelly. But we can't, like, I just don't understand the fascination with royalty. It's mostly women and certain men. But no, I have no, why, dude? What? I don't even understand. I don't understand. I still, to this day, and I have no desire to look it up. I have no desire to learn about it or do any research. Freaking royalty in England. I just don't get it. Like, why? Why? How much longer is that going to go on? Do they actually have power? Like power? Like, I don't know. But I don't care enough to look into it. But yet it's always such a big news item. Like, why? Why is this a story? Okay, so one of the princes who's never going to become king married an actress from Suits. I think it was Suits, right? And like that, you know, that V good, that P good. So good that he's like, you know, why do I need to be a prince? That it's like, this is not a Disney movie. Like no one gives a shit about princes, especially. So it's like, okay, I'm not, I guess I just won't be a prince. And everyone's like, but like the Russia-Ukraine thing was popping off and there was like no news coverage of it. Like when's the last time we had a war that was not like this little, I don't want to say little, but like a war between countries, big countries. Russia's a big country. Ukraine's a fairly big country. And then I forget the text. I got to find the text. But my buddy's mom asked the manager. If you ever have listened to the pod, you know about Ask the Manager. His mom just sent a text like, hope your cars are good on gas. ... War. Period. And she was pretty much right. You know, we laugh. It was an interesting delivery and presentation of the information, but she dead on. Fucking wars happening and gas prices went through the roof. good God. Trying to talk to my mom about anything that's going, like, I'll talk to my mom is interesting because, like, I'll get on the FaceTime with her and I'll just mention something very trivial or like mundane about Brie or everyday life, and she will somehow tie it back to either critical race theory or or Biden or, you know, like some political issue, and it's like, I don't want to. We're not on Fox News right now. Turn off Fox News. I was trying to tell her, like, why do we? Oh, that was a big one. That, you know, my mom calling me. She thought I was a Biden guy, quote unquote. And I don't talk much politics on this show, and I don't have any intention to, because I don't think it goes anywhere constructive or positive, especially when I'm talking to my mom. It's like, I don't know why I get baited into these conversations, because I know it's always going to go the same way. How, like, Neil, how dumb can you be? You're going to convince a 70-plus-year-old woman who has been set in her ways and her beliefs for so long. You think your little diatribe is going to convince her. But I get suckered into it, and I keep playing into it. And I'm like, you know, especially with, like, you know, with gas prices, it was like, okay, hey, why do we need to depend on oil? Why do we need to depend on gasoline? I believe in renewable energy, alternative energy, like solar energy, wind energy, water energy. We got plenty of that shit, don't we? Plenty of sunlight, plenty of water, plenty of that, plenty of this, plenty of that. And I think she said, like, well, what do you think powers the windmills? What do you think powers this? What do you think powers? And I was just like, I don't have all the answers, Ma. But come on. We have is the resource you're talking about, oil, is that like a resource that I think it's not infinite. I don't think. Maybe it is. But it just seems like we're dependent on other countries, especially Russia. And that's why the gas prices have gone up. So shout out going to O'Connor for calling the shot right there, because that war broke out and the gas prices went up. And it's like, how are we coming on those electric vehicles, on those EVs? How are we coming? But even electric vehicles, like, I kind of want one, but I think I would need to ease into it. I think I would have to do the hybrid first before I would dive into an EV. But it's like, there are times where I forget to charge my phone. There's a 1,000% chance I'm going to forget to charge the car, and I'm going to need to be somewhere quick, and I was going to be like, crap. You forgot to charge the car? Yeah, I forgot to charge the car. Sue me. So it was February. March, I saw the Batman. Holy. Batman. I liked it. I know I had some reservations about Robert Pattinson, but not as much as I probably would have as a younger Batman fan. You know, I think people were up in arms when Heath Ledger was announced as the Joker way back in the day. You know, it just seems like there's always some kind of criticism and uproar about the selections. And you're like, all right, how about we just let it play out? How about that? Huh? There's a reason for the season. Okay. There's a reason for this happening. And I think whoever's in charge, they probably know what they're doing. They're getting paid a lot of money to do it. You know, Ben Affleck as Batman. Not great, but not awful. And I know that he was supposed to be in this one. And then I don't know what happened with him. I think he's just like, I'd rather smoke some cigs and get some Dunkin', which is not that bad of a day. Tell you that much. I liked our Pat as Batman. I liked fucking what's his face as the Penguin. Sean Connery. No. What's his name? Colin Farrell. I mean, if you didn't tell me that was Colin Farrell, I'd be like, I don't know who that is. I mean, just a phenomenal prosthetic job, makeup job. Even Paul Dano as the Riddler, I liked. You know, I think, you know, you can definitely tell that there's been a bar that's been set, right, as far as villains go. And so now every time an actor gets a notable role as a notable villain, I think they feel compelled to put their own stamp on it and to be the next Heath Ledger. And you can almost tell like they're just trying to force it sometimes. That said, I still think he's up there. That was a pretty good one, especially like tapping into like, I guess they didn't explicitly say it, but incel culture. And unfortunately what's going on with just so many angry people who want to burn the world down. I like not Zoe Saldana, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. I thought she was muy caliente. Very sexy. Interesting twist in there that, there was only one or two scenes that had one or two lines where I was like, okay. You didn't have to say that. You didn't have to talk about that, and I don't want to have to talk about it, but come on. Does the white man have to be the villain every time? And I know everyone's nodding and saying, yeah, because guess who was the hero for years and years and years? I get it. And it's just like, okay, I understand. Is this like the punishment now? Like, okay, the white guy was the hero for so long, and every other person of color or minority, they were pushed in the margins, they were marginalized, and they were the first ones to die, and they were not the main character or the hero and protagonist. And okay, I'm all for diversity and representation. I'm all for it. But like, is it progress to then pigeonhole and like, okay, every villain's going to be a white guy? I don't know. I don't know. And then also to call attention to it and double down on that is also like, okay, it's one thing that like, okay, the white guy's the villain, but then now we're going to specifically say white men are the devil. And it's like, okay, we don't have to do that, do we? But all right, fine. White men are the devil. Sure. Why not? It just gets a little predictable. It's like, oh, white guy's going to be the villain. Oh, yep. There we go. And why? Because he's the white guy and because white men are evil. It's like, can we be a little more creative than that and be a little more progressive than that? By you doing that, aren't you just like replicating what happened pre this era of representation where it was like, but worse almost? That's not where we should be heading. But what the fuck do I know? Sad dad. Divorced sad dad. March Madness happened. Can you believe it? It was mad. I that might have been my worst bracket of all time. And I filled out so many goddamn brackets. Every bracket busted. Every bracket was awful. The amount of money I sink into that stupid shit. And they're like, and I've been betting on the Barstool sports book. It's just insane. It's insane. The level of conservative bets that I've been doing and still losing. Still, I can't believe how bad I am at betting on college basketball. I bet on pro football, and I think that's probably my best sport that I bet on. College football is like the next sport that I bet on. Not as good because it's just like, I don't know who makes the lines in college football, but it's shot in the dark. It's like, hey, throw on the blindfold. Here are a few darts. We've set up a map in this room somewhere. Throw the darts. I feel like college basketball is I just can't win. I cannot win at college basketball bets. No matter how conservative I can be. It's like I'll push the Barstool Sportsbook has sliders so you can slide the line, because I almost never bet the lines that are posted or whatever. I'm always doing alternate lines and alternate odds and whatever, alternate over-unders, whatever. I'm always doing that. And the got to the point where I was like, I'm going to parlay. First of all, don't parlay. You stoops. Don't parlay. Everyone has said that. I used to listen to Carton and Roberts when I was working at SNY. Spoiler alert, not working there anymore. And it was like Craig Carton, notorious gambler who went to jail because of it, is like, don't do parlays. And I'm like, but it's if this and this happened, then this happened. It's like, it seems so easy. I win the NFL parlays more times than not, I think. And then, if I'm not, I'm still making up for ground lost from parlays lost. But college basketball, I could do like, hey, the over under is 168. And I'm like, all right, we're going to lower that to 129 over. And that'll be the game where it's like, oh my God, we're seeing a historic cold streak out of both these teams. They can't hit the broadside of that. And it's like, oh my God. I feel like there were more upsets than usual in this March Madness. Could be wrong. Could not be wrong. I had a beard. Yeah, I decided once November, December rolled around, I was like, I saw a picture, on Facebook, there are memories. And there was a memory of me with my brother-in-law. And it was back when I had a mustache. So it was like November 2013, probably. And I was like, I kind of look good there. Like, I understand I catch a lot of shit from people about the mustache, which it's insane that hair on your upper lip can cause such a reaction. It's insane that hair can cause that kind of reaction from people. But that's all, like Movember, that's all that people, hardly anyone was like, that shit looks good. Hardly anyone. I mean, there were a couple people that were like, oh yeah, that's macho. And then, but pretty much everyone else, women forget about it. They don't, no, hard no from the women. But like women and the men were like, well, you're a creeper, you molest kids, pedophile, how many people have you murdered? You're a serial killer. It's like, okay. Great. But I had the beard, started growing it in November, December, and I let it just grow and grow and grow and grow. And I was at the point where if I didn't have a daughter, I probably could have let that get like Duck Dynasty length style, like Psy, I think his name is, and then them folks just like down to my nips. Possibly longer. I don't care about women anymore. Like, what do I care? The only women I care about are my mom, my sister, and my daughter, and family, obviously. But outside of that, I don't care what women have to say about my appearance anymore. And so I was like, I'm just gonna let this ride. I'm gonna ride it out. It was epic. It was pretty good. But March Madness was. My daughter was the one who kept coming to me and being like, "Yeah, what is this? Like, I don't like this. What is this? Come on, you're better than that. Come on. Don't do this. Okay." So I was like, all right, I'm going to shave into a stash. See how that goes. The stash was nice. I liked the stash a lot. Bria, of course, did not like it. And every time I saw her or picked her up, she was like, what is this? What are we doing here? Huh? Come on. You're better than that. So I eventually cut it off. If I post this video, you can see no stash. And it's definitely a weird look. It's definitely a jarring effect when you shave it off. I remember when my dad had a mustache for a very long time. And then I was like 11 or 12 and he cut it off. And I was like, who the fuck are you, boy? Who the hell are you? I mean, your upper lip, that space between your upper lip and the bottom of your nose never looks larger and more pronounced and noticeable than when after you shave the mustache. It's like, whoa, I didn't realize there was that much real estate territory. Yeah, so I got fired from my job at SNY. That was tough. And, as I mentioned in the previous episode, I took a pretty big pay cut to be there. I had to negotiate with them, just to get up to a price that I thought was reasonable for my talents, my skills. But I viewed it as a dream job. I was like, Steve Cohen bought the Mets. He's going to buy SNY. And he's going to turn around. He's going to personally come to the office and see me working my dick off. And he's going to come up to me and say, hey, don't think I don't notice you, bud. You got chops. And he's going to give me a monster raise and a monster promotion. And then, yeah. And when the Mets win the World Series in 2021, it's going to be raining gold coins all over my face. And no, that did not happen at all. I could, but I won't talk smack trash, if you will, on that organization. I will say that it was like every experience. It was a learning experience, right? I mean, I definitely learned a lot because there's a lot of stuff that I did know. There's a lot of stuff I didn't know going into that position, mostly around like web development and stuff, all that technical mumbo jumbo. Regional sports networks. I will say this: regional sports networks. I don't know about your future. If you can't adapt or die, really is the mantra there. I'm proud of what I did there. I got a lot done. I think the results speak for themselves. There's a lot that was out of my control. The stuff that was in my control, I tried my best. I gave it up my all. And again, it goes back to working smart, not hard. I worked hard and I got results, but I wasn't playing the game, as they say. I wasn't Triple H'ing. It's time to play the game. Like, I wasn't doing that. Best of luck. I just think it stinks because there is talented people there, but I just don't think there's some filters and some walls that are prohibiting that from really taking off. So best of luck. I wouldn't be surprised if they're gone in 5 years. Whoa, hot take. Will Smith slapped the shit out of Chris Rock at the Oscars because of a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's alopecia. I didn't watch the Oscars. I just happened to catch this on social media. Kind of thought, there was some talk about whether or not it was a stunt, which I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they're both actors. It's like, it's a show. So it's like no one watches the Oscars. How can we get attention? Let's have this happen. That was a pretty hard slap. And there was a moment where it's like, well, now I got to look up alopecia because I have no fucking clue what alopecia is. And then it's like, there's that moment where it's like, is it going to be bad or good? Is it bad or good or bad or good? And it's like, okay, it doesn't look like it's that bad. And so now then after you realize that alopecia is not that debilitating, right? It's more, it has traumatic effects on your psyche, but it's more aesthetic than anything else, I think. Right? Maybe not. I don't know. So you're like, okay. But then Bruce Willis gets aphasia and you're like, oh, motherfucker. Like, okay, so what is that? Is that like an alopecia? No, it's actually really worse. And then there's, now it comes out like, okay, well, that's the reason why you're seeing like 1,000 movies with Bruce Willis come out, because his time acting is pretty much over. And I had dinner with a couple friends a couple weekends ago. And he was mentioning that his mom had aphasia, and it's like it's awful. Like to not be able to you can't speak English, like you can't form full sentences. Like your brain is just not working on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders. It's awful situation to be in, but it's like it explains why he was like cranking out as many movies as possible, because it's like, this is it. That's all I got. It's just heart wrenching. Bruce Willis. Woo. I mean, I haven't looked into aphasia either, or like how it comes to be, what causes it. Is it genetic? Is it like something else going on? But it's like my mom and I were talking about this, like just people my age in their 40s that are getting cancer and whatnot. And it's like, you think your generation is doing it right or better? And then you find out like 20 years down the line, fuck, Monster Energy drink, huh? That's the downfall. That was it, huh? Monster Energy drink. It's like, they didn't think, there was a time where cocaine was like to treat a headache. And then it was like, doctors are smoking cigarettes in the delivery room. And it's like, what are we doing now that's going to fuck us in 20 to 30 years? Can't wait to find out. Anyway. Deep Water with Ben Affleck and Ana de Armas came out. I don't know if that was February or March, but I tuned in for that. Hell yeah. Ana de Armas. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Ana de Armas. She's kind of like a mix of Eliza Dushku and Alicia Vikander, maybe. Which, what happened with Alicia Vikander? I feel like after Ex Machina, it was like, okay, this is a rising star. She's going to go through the roof. And then it was like she played Tomb Raider, Lara Croft. And then it was like, I'd like to see more of her. Ana de Armas, though. Holy crap. She's going to be in that Marilyn Monroe documentary on Netflix. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Muy excite. Mucho excite. And it was, Deepwater was... There was I forget what article it was, but it was like, it's a throwback to the erotic thrillers of the 80s and 90s, which... I grew up on that shit. Yes. Shoot me in the veins, brah. Pump me full of erotic thrillers. Especially now that it's like, well, there's zero guilt associated with watching these. I'm single. It was, whatever. It was an erotic thriller. Like, there's only, when you say erotic thriller, you get it. It's unless there's only so many twists and turns you can have with erotic thrillers, I guess. It's like, it's formulaic, but like hits all the right spots. I didn't hate it. It was watchable, and especially certain scenes were very watchable, maybe multiple times watchable, rewatchable. Hell yeah. But I think you got to slate one erotic thriller on the calendar per year. I think that's right around, and especially around Valentine's Day. Just throw an erotic thriller in the mix. Dial it up. Get the blood pumping. Morbius came out and sucked, which sucks. It's about a guy who sucks. A vampire. This whole Sinister Six thing is exciting, and it's amazing how the Marvel Cinematic Universe has really tried to, again, you talk about setting the bar and like everyone trying to meet that and exceed it. And it's not as easy as it sounds or looks. And even MCU, I mean, like, I don't think Phase 4 has been that well received. I don't think it's like horrible. I think it's been pretty solid, but it's not like Phase 3. I mean, I don't know that you'll ever be able to really top. I mean, you're basically, Phase 4, I think, is like almost like the equivalent to Phase 1-ish. Like, okay, we had the crescendo of Phase 3. It's like all these storylines coming to an end. Now you got to rebuild. And it's like, this is the rebuilding phase. Like, Phase 4 was not going to top Phase 3, in my opinion. I don't know. It's kind of like, goes in waves and cycles and whatnot. So what sucked was, I think Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which I'll get to, was supposed to come out before Spider-Man No Way Home. And that makes a lot of sense. And I think that might have I don't know how you can get Spider-Man No Way Home to be better than it was. I mean, that was fucking top notch. I didn't see Morbius. I remember watching the trailer and clips and I'm just like, that does not look good. That is pretty bad. And they're trying to get the Sinister Six off the ground. I mean, they've now had 2 Venoms, right? And I remember I saw Venom, the second Venom, just like late one night, and I was like, this is tough. It's just like it's like the CGI is like Green Lantern style CGI almost, where it's like I'm just watching like computer generated illustrations fight each other. What am I doing with my life? These are not even real people. I mean, the idea of the Sinister Six is great. And like look at what happened with the Suicide Squad, right? The first Suicide Squad came out and I was very hype, and it just didn't come together like it should have. Then they redid it and that one was awesome. So I think, maybe it's not all is lost with the Sinister Six, but not off to a hot start. Not really. But it would be cool to see that all come together, especially if with Spider-Man No Way Home coming out and seeing how well that played. It's like, see, this is kind of how it could work. Let's move in that direction. Russell Wilson went to the Broncos. NFL free agency was in March, and Russell Wilson went to the Broncos. So now, like, are the Broncos a contender? And now the Seahawks have Drew Lock, I think. And then the Seahawks were reportedly in on Baker Mayfield, but then it was like, nah, not really. I don't know who started that rumor. And then Baker goes to the Panthers, who now have Josh Darnold, Sam Darnold. And someone was saying they should get Josh Rosen as well. So they have all the top picks from QBs from 2018 draft. So, and I think the Giants play the Panthers this year. So we'll get to see that. We'll finally get that Daniel Jones versus Baker Mayfield game that everyone's been chomping at the bit for. Oh, it was supposed to happen in 2020, but Jones got hurt. And so Colt McCoy had to play and he stunk. I'll get to the Giants free agency in another ep, probably, if you feel me. Y'all feel?